Hello Gemini, Gemini Rising and Gemini Moon people. This is your weekly horoscope for the week starting October 17th, 2016. And a quick reminder for you guys, these weekly horoscopes are meant to talk about the energies of this week, kind of get a little bit into the nitty-gritty. So if you are interested in more like the longer term, like planetary moves and things like that, you should check out your monthly horoscopes. In fact, I just put up November's yesterday, so that is all ready and raring to go for you. And of course, if you'd ever want to get a session with me outside of these general horoscopes, something unique to your personal situation or your personal chart, you can always follow the links below, or go to my website, integrativemysticism.com, where you can sign up for an appointment or order a downloadable video file. So, what is happening with your astrology this week? Well, we've got a full moon at the end of the 16th, beginning of the 17th. And this is going to be conjunct Uranus, currently retrograde, in your 11th house of friendships and social networking. And I'm not going to lie, when we have a full moon in the 11th house, it can indicate, something coming to a head or some heat with a friend. But with Uranus retrograde in the mix, remember Uranus retrograde is kind of teaching the whole collective a lesson, between August and December about not waiting on things like astrology or the external to make our moves for us, It's kind of like, it's taken a lot of synchronicities, a lot of coincidences, a lot of chances and wake-up calls off the table until December. And so when the full moon kind of wakes Uranus up out of its sleep, it's kind of like a second chance to get back to a topic or solve a problem with a friend that we needed to solve before. This is all about stopping a broken record or a broken pattern with somebody close to you. Now, this could be, you deciding that maybe the best way to stop the broken record is to just, redraw the boundary or stop the friendship. But what this is all about, though, is, again, catching a bad pattern before it starts up again, recognizing the signs. Uranus is kind of like, look, why are we acting surprised if this happens all the time? Why are we acting surprised? So it's time to catch it, so we don't end up looking a fool acting surprised. On Thursday, we have Mars, the planet of action and energy, conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house of shared income, shared resources, intimacy, as well as your self-employment income. And with Mars and Pluto conjunct, I tend to call this overkill. And when I say overkill, I don't want anyone to get, worried about that. It's just a matter of trusting your discipline to moderate. What can happen when it comes to Mars and Pluto coming together is things have a tendency to happen with way too much force. And when we talk about Thursday, this could talk a lot about money situations, whether they're you handling certain expenses or maybe even a personal project or a self-employment opportunity going way too far. Be careful about clients and customers who are trying to take up all of your time, but also at the same time make sure that you are not biting off more than you can chew, especially when it comes to any kind of borrowing or lending arrangement that you are trying to get into, because it may be too much money, or it may be too short a term, or it just might be too binding a contract if you're in those kinds of negotiations. On the intimacy front, with Mars conjunct Pluto, it can be good, but it can also be, an issue where I think that sometimes when the animal nature of Mars and the more extreme nature of Pluto come together, be careful about a situation where sex is taken way too personally, whether it's too important or not important, because sometimes with Mars conjunct Pluto, it can be fantastic, everything is wonderful, everything is great, but, people are also a lot more insecure and a lot more sensitive during that time about their own intimacy and their own intimate space, and so it's very important to know when to respect that, but also know when to respect yourself. And if there seems like something's kind of off in that area Thursday or Friday with you and a partner, or you and, just somebody you tend to do that with, it's definitely important not to go down the rabbit hole of making it a very personal thing, because it might actually just be, the flavor of the week. So, what is going on with your cards, we ask, this week? Well, when it comes to your spiritual advice, we do have the card of the Queen of the Darkwood Elves. And again, this is talking a lot about what we talked about with that full moon and Uranus, because this is talking about premonitions, foreshadowing. This is basically talking about, okay, if you see something happening again, if you see a broken record or a repeat situation happening again with a friend or with anybody where it's like, this is exactly the same, you can trust yourself, okay? Because sometimes people always ask themselves, why do I always get into these situations? Well, because we don't pay attention to the signs. Why are we, it's like maybe we're distracted, maybe we're too distracted to see the signs. Like, oh, I just wanted to believe that this was the perfect job, or I wanted to believe that this, this was going to bring me so much money, or this, or I just got swept up, drunk on the infatuation of a whirlwind romance, It doesn't mean it has to be life or death. In fact, honestly, catching something bad before it happens could actually save whatever it is we're trying to save and keep, okay? So, I know some people tend to get upset or worried about challenges like this, but again, just because it's challenging doesn't mean it's bad. For your Earth sector, when it comes to your work and finances, we do have the Six of Pentacles upright. Beautiful card because it's one of the few cut and dry yes answers. A lot of people ask yes or no questions with tarot, and it's like, well, life is not really like that. But when you get this card, you definitely know you've got a yes answer coming. And this usually does show up where people are willing to take chances on you this week. So this could indicate a hire in its most simplest sense. Yes, in a sense, whenever you're getting hired, people are taking chances on you and investing in you. But also at the same time, again, these borrowing and lending arrangements that you're a part of, if you're trying to take out a loan, buy a car, qualify for a mortgage, get pre-approved, any of those kinds of things, this is definitely the week where we're going to be getting more of the yeses. If you're trying to get involved in any kind of collaborative work, or maybe even take on a second income avenue, sometimes this card can promise an opportunity for extra money or extra revenue streams that we had not planned for. But remember, with that Mars conjunct Pluto, don't just go for the maximum because the maximum is available. Sometimes it's a bit too much. It's great, but we don't want to do too much, too big, eyes too big for the stomach. For your communications with air, when it comes to your friends, your relatives, and the others in your life, we do have the Hangman upright. And this card may prove to be a very strange card because I feel like you're putting somebody on ice this week. You're kind of and this could be, again, like we talked about the astrology with your friendship zone there, the Hangman card does kind of say you're giving somebody a timeout this week, or you're going to need to give somebody a timeout this week. And no, this is not a child, it's not one of your kids you give a timeout to every day. This is an adult, and I think that with the Hangman, it really does have to do with this person sort of not understanding their proclivity to melodrama. Sometimes we have to hang somebody up, because again, he or she is kind of just, they have a tendency to not, again, notice what happens to the people around them when they're just spinning and spinning and spinning in their own drama. And so I feel like this week, sometimes you can't be the supportive friend you want to be by coddling and nurturing and affirming and, and encouraging and enabling. Sometimes you need to be able to be the friend that they need, not the friend that they want, and not be the enabler and just be like, look, you are way too much drama, you are way too much emotional volatility, you're too emotionally volatile right now. I'm gonna have to at least, we're gonna have to, to take a time out here for a minute. Maybe forever, maybe not. Hopefully not. But to be frank, it's also just a matter of, it's, if you can't regulate and get that under control, you've got no business bringing collateral damage to, other people. And that's, that might be something that you need to say to them. For your challenge this week, with fire, we do have the Three of Wands upright. Okay, the Three of Wands upright is actually a really easy card to deal with as a long-term challenge, or like, I guess you could say a week-long challenge, because the Three of Wands says there really is no challenge. In fact, the Three of Wands upright is talking about responsiveness. Alright, and this whole theme of this week for you Gemini people is all about responsiveness, being able to respond to something as it happens, not mull it over, not take too long. In fact, the Three of Wands is a challenge here. It might be actually saying, okay, well, Gemini, do you have an immediate response for everything? I know that might sound kind of strange, and luckily we don't have to do that all the time, every day, but I would say that this week, having more immediate responses and, will display more strength in your convictions, and again, avert more drama, get more drama out of the way, while also, again, prompting more offers, prompting more luck, prompting more acceptance from others as well. It's like, who is the strongest in their convictions? Who is the most concrete, grounded, and stable? They win. That's what you're going to be needing to focus on, because that's what people are going to be looking for. For your Earth sector, we already did that. For your emotions with water and your romantic life, we have the Eight of Swords inverted. This is one of my favorite cards to see inverted, because the Eight of Swords upright is one of my least favorite cards to see, period. The Eight of Swords inverted, honestly, is a card of freedom. It's a card of release, and I think that for a lot of you Gemini people, if you have been feeling like maybe old business, old issues have been really holding you back from trusting a new person or finding a new person, this is the week where we're going to start to see, even if you can't really vocally choose to get rid of everything, at least you're willing to take the chance and not, and not be victimized by that. What can also happen with the Eight of Swords inverted is that if you feel like there has been competition for your partner or your crush or your interests' attention, whether it be a person or maybe even their work, their priorities, bad schedule clashes, the Eight of Swords inverted says we are freeing up each other's space, freeing up each other's schedules for one another this week, which is really, really nice. We do have Venus going into your 7th house as well, so, into the partnership zone, so it's definitely more opportunities for the Eight of Swords reverse to do what it's supposed to do, which is give everyone more one-on-one time, if they so happen to be a Gemini. So that is your forecast, Gemini. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you'd like to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.